My name is Ukup Klausa-Puski, one claw from a grizzly bear woman. I'm a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes and a speech-language pathologist for the Tribal Health Department. The video you are about to see will portray the traditional lifestyles of both tribes and how we are trying to incorporate modern technology into our health department through communication, through physical therapy, through occupational therapy, through other disciplines. We know that communication is the most important trait. Without it, human life would be void. But Native Americans have a different way of communicating. We have a closeness that is difficult to explain in English languages. Many tribes believe in the circle of life, like this dream catcher that I'm holding. The circle represents birth, childhood, adolescence, adult. The circle also represents months. Indians, before they had calendars, knew the cycles of the moon. They knew what day and month occurred, and they had ceremonies in certain times of each season. Also represents the four directions, the east, the west, north, south. Many tribes felt a closeness and a connectedness to all living things. Many tribes believed that the Creator created everything on earth. Many cultural aspects such as legends, healing methods, child-rearing practices, and community life were all a part of culture. Although there are hundreds of tribes and languages, many have the same beliefs about the creation story and the laws of the land which stem from creation stories, and the respect for all things. Although Indians did not have a written law, they practiced respect, honesty, sharing. Being too verbal was not a part of an Indian lifestyle. All plants and animals and people were believed to be connected by the sun and the water and the air to sustain life. We communicate differently with each other and the world around us. And it's hard to explain in English words why Indian people can relate to nature, can relate to trees, can relate to the grass. Like the ecosystem, Indian people believed from the time of conception to the entry into the spirit world, life is a cycle. Most tribes still have a strong sense of spirituality and closeness. Our culture was passed down through oral history. Although we did have some writings on cliff walls, they were left there by the great spirits. But all other history was passed down orally, and the Indians knew the cycles, the events, the important events. They would use a rope, tie knots for each historical event. And many legends were passed down from our ancestors from the beginning of time. And because there was no written history, the laws of the land, the laws that were created by the Creator, were abided by. You will see how modern Indians have to walk two paths. And I mean they have to live in two worlds. As a young professional, it was difficult for me to retain my roots while pursuing a career. And I know it's very difficult for many Indians to do the same. Some of it stems from the wounds that occurred hundreds of years ago when our cultural ways were broken. Children were forced out of their homes, forced to go to boarding schools, far away. The Indians have such a strong feeling about your heart, your feelings, what's in your heart. And such a closeness and love for each other that it's difficult for them to even conceive the idea of being separated from families. I think the shock of families being divided were so strong that many of us claim we're suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. Tribes, in essence, were wounded psychologically, which could be why we have the highest suicide rate, the highest alcohol and drug problem, the highest accidental death problem, infant mortality, and on and on. It's very sad when you see the statistics about the Native American or Indian person. The high school dropout rate is so high. We feel that by working with our elders, incorporating some of our traditional lifestyles into our daily living skills, our daily ways of life, our education, our home life, that we will once again be a strong, healthy, powerful Indian nation. We are hoping that by sharing cultural beliefs, we can strengthen society as a whole. We believe that the Native American has a lot to offer the non-Native society. We believe if the non-Natives could comprehend some of our feelings, could feel just a little bit the way we feel, that we could all be better off. We incorporate traditional healing with modern healing. We have a reservation-wide developmental screening. We include as many Native Americans as possible. We have a Native American doctor. We have Native American elders who are also doctors in their own way. And we get all of these people together in our circle of 7 teepees, and they go through the process. And we include the whole family, since the Indian traditionally practices in the extended family lifestyle. And the community, the whole community is involved, our leaders are involved. The way the Indians used to communicate before the white man came was through American Indian Sign Language. Everyone could communicate with their signs. Some were basic, some were like the American Sign Language, like eat and sleep. The Indians also used smoke signals in a way of communicating to other tribes. It's very important for the Indian person, both male and female, to have silence. There's a time when they just need silence. And if you'll ever notice, when you're in a big meeting with American Indians, it is okay to have that silence. The distance between the speaker and listener is important. Native people feel very uncomfortable if a person they're meeting for the first time is very close. Many tribes do not make direct eye contact. If they do make eye contact when speaking, it's just for a short while, and then they avert their eyes. Some children in our tribe never look at a person older than them. It's disrespectful. In an audience type setting, traditionally, Indians would sit around in their teepees in a circle. And today, when we present workshops, we try to do the same thing. It makes people feel more comfortable. And the latency period between the question and response is sometimes uncomfortable for a non-native speaker. Body language is also important. Indians have a sense of knowing what's going on behind them, or almost knowing what people are thinking about them. By that I mean you can feel. I don't know what it is inside of an Indian, but it's different and it's there. Maybe that's why we say we can communicate with animals and trees, and other people think we're crazy. Humor is also important in Indian life. Many tribes have their way with humor, and humor is healthy and it's okay. In conclusion, I'd like to say that the world is changing at a rate dangerously fast. If we as people continue to let our life goals be that of Western civilization, we will lose our sight of being human. The ozone layer is being damaged by pollution. Men are flying to the moon. Technology is on the cutting edge. Yet we are destroying our environment, our bodies. We are hoping that this video will emphasize our different lifestyles. We are not asking for others to live our way of life, only to understand and become more sensitive to our differences. Once there is mutual respect, we can build from there and use both worlds, modern and traditional, to make our circle, to stay on the right path, a pathway to wellness. We realize that what has sustained us since the beginning of time must have been healthy, so we are determined to retain our traditions as much as possible. We as tribal people know that we can never live in teepees again, but we can take what knowledge we have left and build our foundations from there. We can start by becoming healthy inside, and then pride will illuminate into our hearts, families, and ultimately our communities.